I'm Phil Gerber, co-owner of the Roadster Shop, and I'm here with one of our latest Survivor Series build, this perfectly patinaed 1969 C10. So anyone who knows me knows I'm kind of a sucker for patinaed C10s, especially in the blue, aqua, teal family. I came across this truck probably 5 or 6 years ago in Arizona and bought it for myself with the intention of building it. Ended up building a 76 square body instead, and had a customer come along, kind of had the same vision that I did on this truck. Really liked the patinaed look. Wanted the same wheels, kind of same motor, interior ideas, so we really clicked and were able to kind of work together and build a really badass truck. Chassis under this truck is one of our Slammed SPEC chassis on air. So it is obviously in the lowered position right now. It'll come up about 3 inches, 3.5 inches for ride height, and then you can get another 3 inches of raise to get over any bumps, or if you want to get it in a trailer on a lift. Just makes it a little bit more versatile for driving around. Option-wise, it's pretty straightforward. We've got our 14-inch Baer Brakes in the front, 12-inch Baer Brakes in the rear. We've got a front sway bar on it and a 390 posi out back. Otherwise, pretty much as they come, order the same way right off our website. Wheels on this truck are a Forgeline OE1 wheel. We're running 20x9s in the front, 20x10.5s in the rear. Wanted to go with a squared setup on this truck. I wanted a little bit more sidewall in the back. We've done others with 22s. This one we felt a 20 looked better, give it a little bit more meat on the tire in the rear. So the OE1 takes a factory hubcap. We're able to find some killer original 1969 C10 hubcaps on eBay and just work great with the rest of the truck. The exterior body on this is pretty much 100% as we got it. Found a really incredibly solid truck to start with. I think we had to replace the rocker on both sides and then spotted the paint back in to kind of match the patina. But otherwise, everything is as is. Came with the badass farm bumper on the rear. All the trim was there, nicely faded. You know, killer patina on the hood, and just really nice even paint throughout the whole truck, which is pretty hard to find on a survivored patinaed C10. This is an original short bed, lowered with the right wheels, right center caps. It just has a killer look to it that is impossible to duplicate, and that's kind of one of the cool things about these Survivor patinaed build. You can build an incredibly unique truck, cannot be copied, cannot be duplicated. It's really, you know, one-of-a-kind piece. So coming across one of these is really a hell of a find. Under the hood of this truck, we went with a GM Performance 480 horse LS3. We wanted something to match the original look of the truck, kind of keep it period correct. So went with a lot of parts from Holley, LS Classics, Billet Specialties to give it a traditional small block look on the LS. It's a Holley top mount intake with a GM drive-by-wire throttle body. LS Classics makes the air cleaner base and then accepts that throttle body and will take any stock air cleaner. We went with a original style air cleaner from this truck. Billet Specialties valve cover adapters that take a small block Chevy valve cover and mount the coil packs underneath the valve cover for a nice clean installation. Holley fuel rails and kind of hit all the wiring, hit all the plumbing. LS Classics Valley Pan with the oil fill in the front. Holley mid-mount front accessory drive. Everything on it just kind of makes you think of the original small block, but still has the performance, the drivability of the modern LS. Inner fenders on this are done by Halt Fab. Killer fit, great application for all these spec trucks. The fenders in the truck give you tire clearance to lay rocker with a 28-inch tall tire. Look great, easy installation, can't say enough good things about them. We did a core sport cover on this just to kind of clean up the under hood, so when you open it, you're not looking at all the radiator and coolers that are mounted underneath. It is a CNR radiator. We have a special module with CTSV fans that we work with CNR to develop, handle all the cooling needs of these trucks. Heat management's played a big role in a lot of our recent car builds, and we've done a lot of DEI products to really help mitigate the heat. Their exhaust wrap, their trans and firewall shield, a lot of the reflective heat tapes really keep the heat out of the cabin and keep everything a lot cooler when you're driving down the road. Everything else under the hood is just very sanitary, very clean. Smooth the firewall, you got the Halt Fab smooth inner fenders, smoothed out radiator cover, everything painted in a satin black finish. All the wiring, all the plumbing is hidden as much as possible and just gives it a real clean, neat look. So this 480 horse LS3 is really a perfect motor for this type of truck. Plenty of power when you need it, and it's incredibly smooth and easy to drive. You're not worrying about keeping it lit at stoplights or the cam surging, which is really, really comfortable to drive. Great for cruising down the highway. In fact, we just took this truck on about a 600-mile cruise, went from our shop to the Good Guys show in Columbus, Ohio and back. Can't say enough good things about how incredible the motor is, how smooth the ride is with the SPEC air ride chassis. Just a pleasure to drive. Common misconceptions with an air ride car is that it's really just designed to go up and down and that's it. Generally, everyone thinks you sacrifice a lot to gain that adjustability and ride height, but when we designed the SPEC chassis, we really focused around the suspension geometry, placement of the bags, motion ratio, placement of the shocks, and this thing does legitimately ride, handle, and perform incredibly well. We do a lot of road tours, we do a lot of car shows, and generally at the end of those, you're hanging out in the parking lot, drinking beer with a bunch of your buddies, and we kind of took that in mind when we designed the bed of this pickup truck. We're always hanging out in the back of a pickup truck, you got the tailgate down, everybody's sitting on it, but we want to take that a little bit further. So we did a dual zone stereo system. We've got a head unit back here, so you can control everything through Bluetooth on your phone, and you can play your music out here. We've got speakers inside the vintage Schlitz cooler that also opens up and has some storage or cooler space inside if you wanted. Laser cut a acrylic panel that lights up, is all LED backlit. We've got bed lights up underneath the bed rails as well as rock lights underneath that kind of light up the ground around you. Again, just perfect for when you're hanging out after hours, a bunch of the guys around a car show, end of a road tour, just a great place to hang out and have a couple beers at the end of the day. Columbus Good Guy show was the night of the Conor McGregor fight, so Josh had his laptop sitting up here, and then we Bluetooth that into the speaker system, so we were watching the Conor McGregor fight with like 40 people sitting around back. Could have used a bigger screen, but sound was awesome, lights were great. A few other things in the bed of this truck. We've got a wheel tub package for the 67 to 72 C10s, all CNC laser cut, kind of a you weld it, you fab it yourself kit that if you buy our chassis, you can get the wheel tubs, you can get the step here to cover the frame rails and install that in your bed. Makes the install a lot easier on the end customer. We also used our stainless tank mounted underneath the floor. All the chassis come with mounts in the frame rail to bolt the tank up to. It can be ordered with the chassis or it can be ordered later on. 18 gallons with whatever fuel pump in there that's gonna work with your motor. This one is set up with a GM fuel pump out of a Camaro SS designed to handle up to 600 horsepower. Works perfectly with the 480 horse LS. There is a fuel pot in there as well, so eliminates fuel sloshing and you're always gonna have fuel supply. We did a flip-up fuel door in this one. If you want to do something a little bit different, easily access your fuel tank without it taking up too much space in your bed floor. When you make a truck sit this low, only way to do that is to have all the suspension and wheels come up into the bed floor. A lot of guys will just put a straight raised bed floor in that'll be this height the whole way. Then you're only left with about a 6-inch deep bed, not a lot of room to store stuff. Yeah, we prefer this approach because it still gives you plenty of usable bed space. Throw a cooler, throw your luggage up in front, room in the back for whatever else you want to put in there if you're going on a road trip. For the interior in this truck, we shipped it down to Avant Garde in Palm City, Florida. Did a killer job as always. One of the things that kind of stands out first is the leather on the interior. Sent it out and had a process done to kind of give it a little bit more of that iridescent look, a lot like the original vinyls had in the 60s and 70s. Kind of gives you the idea of vinyl, but a lot nicer in the leather finish. Painted the top of the doors, the dash, and then matched the leather to that for a pretty killer dead-on match. Found a really neat 1960s GM insert fabric that kind of matched the car and matched the color on everything. I wanted the interior to be a lot nicer, a lot more refined. That's where you spend most of the time while you're driving it, and want to just have something that's super comfortable and looks a lot nicer on the inside. Again, this has got the Dakota Digital RXT gauges. When they're off, looks like a really stock gauge cluster, matches the rest of the truck. Once you turn it on and you're driving down the road, all LED backlit. You have all of your functioning through the LCD screen. You can view your quarter-mile times, your 0 to 60 times, as well as monitor everything else on the car through the LCD screen and the traditional analog-looking gauges. The truck has vintage air with their direct replacement kit for the C10, so it utilizes what looks like a stock factory slider, goes into the stock location, kind of sticking with that OEM original look. Did a Lucara 2-spoke steering wheel with a original style horn cap. Like the leather-wrapped finish, it feels a lot better going down the road, a lot more comfortable adjustable on the hands. Leather wrapped the dash pad, has factory AC vents in the center and sides. Avant Garde raised the trans tunnel and then made a very subtle center console that houses the AccuAir E-level air ride controls, 2 cup holders, your power window switches, and a couple USB charging ports. Hard to really describe everything on the interior. It's one that you just really need to look at all the details, see how all the panels are made, check out the fitment, the leather work. It's something that really speaks for itself, and I don't know that I can do it justice. The final result is a OEM looking high-end interior that really matches the build quality of the rest of the vehicle. Another cool feature is an RS part that we're offering. We've turned the factory gas cap into the battery disconnect. Since the fuel tank's in the back, originally the fuel tanks were underneath the seat on these trucks. On a patina truck, you really can't fill that, so we came up with the idea to turn this into the battery disconnect. You've got a solid state battery disconnect that mounts to the back of this. All you do is walk up, turn it to the right, battery is now disconnected, no power to the rest of the truck. Turn it back to the left until it clicks. Got power. For air management on this truck, we went with the AccuAir E-level kit. Fully adjustable, all 4 corners, front and rear. The really nice part about it is it has ride height sensors on the suspension. When you turn the car on, it automatically goes up to ride height. And then depending on how much weight you have in there, it will adjust. So if you can have a whole bunch of luggage in the trunk, you can have a couple people in the front seat, and it's always gonna go to the desired ride height. Then you have 2 other presets. We set it for the number 1, lowers the truck, puts it on the ground. Number 3 raises it all the way to its top height. Great for when you have to get the truck into a trailer, onto a lift, or over a speed bump or a steep driveway.